Alright, I tested out this thing, and it was good at putting French fries in things, but it wasn't good at grabbing French fries because I didn't design a part for grabbing French fries. I only designed, and I didn't even design. I copied the design for the part for putting French fries in things, right? Because what's going to change about this is going to be the method by which I grab the French fries. I'm not going to scoop it, even though I put this feature here as kind of a attempt at scooping. I'm not going to scoop it. I'm going to grab it with tongs. And what is that shape there? Oh, okay. I didn't notice that. So now what I'm going to do, I said I was only going to make the tongs, but actually I'm going to change some things about this first, and then I'll make the tongs. So I said I wanted to make it a little taller, make it like, I'll try for 32. What did that do? Why didn't that? That is a weird. What is? Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. Yeah, that's actually exactly what I wanted to happen. There is a warning here because this fillet. Oh, I see what happened. Okay. And I'm actually gonna bring this back a little bit. And then I'm gonna go back to this. And I'm gonna actually delete this. What was it? Okay. Because I also decided that I didn't like the angle there. And then I'm gonna go ahead and delete this because that doesn't need to be rounded off yet. This I'll keep. Okay. Then another thing I'll do is okay. Okay, this is the extrude. So it was 92 minus 19. I kind of want to make this just bigger, right? I don't think I explained that, but I want it to be bigger so that it can grab more, so that when I put the tong parts on it, it'll be able to grab more. If I don't... Okay, so right now, it's 92 minus 19. If I add 20 to that, that is bigger. But what if I just make it 102? Okay. And then I'm gonna make and put a plane somewhere. Nope. Okay. I'm gonna put a mid plane between these two parts so that I have a reference for the middle. For, the symmetry. And then I'm gonna save this here. And I'm going to start on the tong parts. And I might actually reprint this because if I can, well, for one, I want to see how this fits in things, but I don't know. I might reprint this, I might not. So next I'm gonna actually start on the sewing part. So I'm gonna make a sketch here. And tongs look simple in concept, right? Right, like the most simple thing you can do way less. The most simple thing you can do is this, right? And there, that's a pair of tongs. It's not a good pair of tongs, but it's a pair of tongs. Okay. So I'm going to put a line. I'm going to actually make this body go away. I'm going to put a line. You know what? I'm going to keep the body. I'm going to go ahead and project the plane here. And I'm going to go ahead and put a line. The reason I'm going to do this is so that I can use the scoop as a reference for where I'm putting the tongs, right? I don't know exactly where to put the tongs. Or how big to make the tongs. But, like, I don't know. That feels good. So that is 305. That has to be much smaller. That has to be at most 200. I believe. I don't know why that's there, but I'm going to put a line here and make it vertical. And then I'm going to go ahead and see if I can't. And then if I make these equal. Okay, cool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this and change that to, I don't know, about 20? 25. Then I'm going to offset this on the outside by 2. That should give it a good chunk of flexibility. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to put these 3 circles here. And that 3rd circle is not where it ought to be. That should be like about there, so that is in the middle. Okay, this 3rd one should go in the midpoint. So now if I move these, okay. And what these 3 circles are is they're going to not be they're not going to be that. Hang on. Okay. Okay, and they're all going to be equal. And so what these 3 circles are is they're just going to be a little bit more than, I don't know how big this should be driven. Oh, that's right, because, okay. I don't know how big this line should be, but I need to make it somewhat big. Let's make it 100. Right, 10 millimeters is how many inches? Or 10 centimeters is how many inches? An inch is 2.5 centimeters. So divide 10 by 2.5 and you get 4. 4 inches is pretty big. Okay. Bigger than it needs to be. If I go with 80, then I've got, divide that by 2.5. Let's see, 10 divided by 2.5 is 4. So then 80 divided by 2.5. So 8 divided by 2.5 would be 4 minus a fifth of that. A fifth of 4 is 4/5. So it would be about 3 and change. Or I can just look at it on... Yeah, so that's about 80 is pretty good for how wide a normal pair of tongs would be. But then there is the problem of the scoop is already that wide. And so there wouldn't be enough space for the tongs to go in. Oh, I accidentally put this on the delete coincident. Okay, there we go. And that's... These should be smaller. There should be something like 4 or 5 or something. Not on the point. On the line, okay. And then if I offset this by 2, and this by 2, and this by 2, and actually make them 1.2. If I make them 1.2, that'll make them thinner. That'll move that'll make it so that the part that flexes the most is gonna be this part. And that's what this is there for. It's gonna... More bends is easier to make flexible, or make stretchy or whatever, I don't know. Did that... What in the world happened there? It looks like it closed in, but it didn't. See, look, that... It just moved it, okay. Yeah, that just moved it. And then if I go ahead and now I get rid of the scoop and I extrude, I don't because I forgot to add those lines there. So now I can get rid of the scoop, extrude this bit, and then this bit, okay, that would make this one go out more. And if I do this, okay, I think this will be... I think this arrangement will be easier to use. And I'm gonna guesstimate how tall I should make the extrude. I don't know, 50. $50 seems a bit big. Actually, 37. No, not 4,037. 37 looks better. That's about as tall as I would expect the bulbous end to be, actually. Bulbous end, the actual part that holds the food. So if I make it less than 37, like 20, and then I go up to here and make this 37, and then put a rectangle here, and I'm gonna eyeball that because I don't know, and that looks good. What is that? 52. Minus 4. And then I'm going to go ahead and put little teeth in here, or ribs or whatever, I don't know, some kind of texture. It's 37, right? So then if I do, say I want 10, that's 3.7. 10 teeth, right? These are going to be in between it. Select this, select this, go up this way, extent quantity 9, distance minus 37, but that'll bring that up, right? Plus no, I'm gonna do spacing minus 3.7, and then if I do 10, what if I do 11? What? Okay. And then I put a line from here to here, and then I dimension this as ooh, right, so then 3.7 divided by 2, and then I make this 3.7, then I put this on there. Then I should have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and a half. That looks even. That's roughly even. I'm going to go back into this sketch. 37 plus 3.7 times 0.75. Then I'm going to go ahead and extrude all these bits. All the way to here. There, that's giving it a grippiness. Except now that I think about it, maybe I want to do it the other way. Maybe I want to do it this way. Now I'm going to go ahead and mirror this feature on this plane, and now it's all grippy. So now I can see how well this works as tongs. Gonna go ahead and fillet these edges real quick because sharp edges don't like to be sharp. Right, that'll make them weaker. And these edges too. Interestingly, that's interesting. Isn't this supposed to be... Says geometry is over-constrained. I will delete the coincident from here. Okay. Okay, not that one. This one. Oh, because a line extended. Okay. That's weird. If I just make it 37. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. And then the reason this isn't centered, right, is because it would be annoying to print if this was centered. If this was in the middle of this, right? I would have to print it standing up like this, and that would be annoying. So I'm going to print it in this orientation right here. Interesting question is, how am I going to attach the scoop in such a way that I can actually use the tongs? Also, the tongs are going to be quite small, and that's... I don't like that. I need to open up my slicer real quick because I keep forgetting how big my print bed is. Okay, let's see. Settings, manage printers, machine settings. Okay, 300 by 300. Okay. So I can get away with much bigger than 200. I can go with like 250. 250 even. These are what? What happened there? What? 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 What happened there? Okay, I'm just gonna go ahead and delete this and try again with the, what was it, 5, 5, and 5? Alright, and then I'm gonna go ahead and constrain this to this, this to this, delete this constraint, okay, now I'm gonna reconstrain this to this because I accidentally hit undo. Okay, I'm gonna make this. What happens if I just... Okay, it got vertical. That's good. And then this one. And now I'm just gonna eyeball that. Okay, I'm gonna not eyeball it. I guess I might as well constrain this to this. There, yeah. Okay. Delete these two fillets. And then edit the extrusion. I don't want any of this. I don't know where that came from. Weird. This stupid program is so stupid sometimes. Okay. And what is that? Well, that worked. And then I'm going to go ahead and change that from a sharp corner to a rounded corner. And then I'll see how well these work as tongs. And I said that was 250, right? Yeah. So I made a scoop, tested its ability to put things into things, and now I'm making tongs, and I'm going to test their ability to... I'm actually going to test the... I'm just going to give it a feel for how much strength it has, because, like... I don't know, tongs aren't... Again, the important part on the scoop isn't that it's a scoop, but that it puts French fries into things very easily. The important part on the tongs isn't that it grabs food, necessarily. I mean, it should grab food. But it's actually going to be how easy it is to use them, to use the arms of the tongs. This is the part that I want to test. Because in the end, this is going to get replaced with this. Well, hopefully that's what will happen in the end. I might end up just sticking a long handle on this and making it an actual scoop, but I would rather not, because that's boring. I want to make tongs. I'm going to change this to 90. Changing that to 90, I don't know if that'll do anything, but that did something. Okay, and I'm going to make that plane go away because it's... So now I'm going to go ahead, going to rename the body to Tongs. So I've got Scoop and Tongs, and I'm going to probably break up Scoop the next time I'm in Fusion. What I'm thinking I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to get rid of, like, this whole section here. Like, just get rid of that section, because I won't have much space to work with if I don't do that. But who knows? I might print this, I might not, but I'll go ahead and save it anyways. Yes. No, don't move that. Alright. So now I've got the tongs, and I will print the tongs, and I will see how well the tongs work as tongs. Primarily this part of the tongs. And then if these work well, and maybe if this works better, then yeah. The reason I lengthened that again was so that I can hold more at a time, because if I go ahead and rotate this, right? It'll roughly be that, right? Except not perfectly vertical. It'll be more like that. Right, and then I'll be able to, like, whatever. Okay, there we go. Yeah, so now I'll go ahead and see how well everything, mostly this, works. Okay, I printed these tongs, and when I took them off the build plate, I instantly knew they don't work well as tongs. I've got these other tongs to compare them with, and I'm going to show how poorly these work as tongs. But I know what's wrong with them because I was messing around and playing with it. First thing, this here actually is good. It's like just the right amount of force that I wanted to be able to move these. So this right here is probably gonna stay more or less the same in future iterations of this project. Now, the problem is these tongs are too thin and bendy. They need to have a stiffness, a certain stiffness along like the length of them, right? In order to actually be able to grab things with enough force to hold things. Because when they're too bendy like that, this happens. So what you were gonna be holding is gonna fall right out. And I'll show that with a strawberry, because that's just what I had readily available. Normal tongs, you can pick them up easily. This thing, well, gee. But then, okay, so apparently it's good at fruit. This I was not expecting. They work well enough to grab fruit, but they don't work well enough to grab something heavy. See? Right? Anything a little heavier than a singular strawberry apparently is not going to work. These can grab near about anything, right? And fairly easily. They probably can't grab this because it's too big, but they can pick them up. These, there's what I'm, see? This is what happens. You can pull on this with these tongs, but not with these. So if I were to try to make actual working tongs that actually work as regular tongs instead of tongs that work as a fry scoop, right? I would more closely mimic the end of these actual tongs, right? And so the improvements I would make would be to curve the end here so that things won't want to slide out so easily, right? Let's see what happens if I try to hold it this way. Interesting. Yeah, right, so that things won't slide out so easily like that. I don't know if I would copy this little, I don't know what to call it, flower petal feature. That's probably there as a way of adding a way of gripping things. But on this, I've got a like a ribbed, I don't know, surface. I'm surprised that these were able to pick up a strawberry. Even this way. But look, they don't hold it very, very well. Take these. And all the shaking in the world won't let it come out. This'll. So, they work a little bit, but not as well as they ought to, right? So yeah, improvements on the tong side. Curve this inward. Probably make this more pointed on the end instead of just a rectangle. Just like this has kind of a pointed shape on the end. Probably so I can get mostly so I can get more precision, right, when I'm grabbing things. And then, most importantly, make this thicker and stiffer on these legs here, or arms or whatever. For this project, which is a fry scoop but tongs, the end here isn't gonna be anywhere close to this because it needs to pick up fries and deposit them easily in a French fry cup. So the things that I can change tong wise about these tongs is mostly thicken this little arm here. And another thing I can do, I might add like a triangular shape to it, because triangles don't bend easily, right? Triangles geometrically are the strongest shape because there's only one set of angles for any given 3 sides that works, and so they can't really move much, you know. Now in real life, because things are made imperfectly, that's not quite true, but in mathematics you could have a square or a rhombus, and they both have all 4 sides the same length, but they have different angles, and that's why they're weaker than triangles, which you can have an equilateral triangle and that will only ever be a triangle if the 3 angles are 60 degrees. So triangles being strong, I might add a triangular shape here. I was thinking of making the triangular shape go in this direction, but I think that'll add too much width that way. I might be able to get away with putting a triangle this way. I don't know how much there was in the previous video, but basically I can hold things with these tongs, but not very well, not easily. I need to make this part stiffer, and to do that I gotta make it thicker. And I'm probably gonna put a triangle shape on these legs here. I'm gonna curve these inward, right? So curving these inward will make it so that when I grab something a little heavy, that doesn't happen, and this happens instead. Although I think that's mostly happening from these flower petals here, right? Another thing I might do is change the direction of these from going this way to going that way. But that's if I wanted to make actual tongs, right? I want to make a fry scoop but tongs. So really what I need to change is the legs. This part was good. This is a good amount of force, right? These take a little much force in my opinion. The reason being, if you're gonna be using these for what I would like to use this project for, right? Even though I can't, but for what I would like to use it for, if you're gonna be doing that, you're gonna be using these all day long, a lot, right? And these requiring more force is good for like at home where you don't use them all that often. But if you're gonna be using them all day long, you kind of want there to be less force, because then you won't get so fatigued so easily, right? It's not that big a deal that these use more force. It's just I like a little less force. So I like the amount of force on these. A little bit more force would be fine, wouldn't be a big deal. Too much force would be a problem. But these work just fine. Also, they're a little bit smaller. I can make tongs that are about the same size as these if I wanted to. Maybe even a little bigger if I really wanted to. That's not important though, right? I just want to be able to make tongs that aren't so bendy and flexible. I want them stiffer so that when I do this and I press, essentially it doesn't take too much force to close the tongs, but then it takes not enough force to deform the arms. On this one, it takes a good amount, but a little more force than I like to actually bend the tongs, and then a lot more force to deform them, and that's probably coming from this shape too, right? I might copy that, or I might do like I thought and make a full-on triangle. I don't know. I think I'll do a triangle. It'll be easier to clean. Alright, because stuff can get stuck. Big stuff, right? But stuff could get stuck in here. Like I could probably stuff this strawberry in here. See? Well. Versus... yeah. The strawberry was stuck in there. So like... yeah. Thicken these, put a triangle shape on it. This is fine. And then make the front curve inwards. Another thing that the front curving inwards will accomplish, besides making these better tongs, is actually towards the end goal of the project, which is it can act as the back of the fry scoop, the part that holds the fries, right? Probably what I'm thinking of right now is how can I... it's something kind of like this shape, if that makes sense, right? Where my fingers are basically the end of the tongs, and they go like this, right? And they would go like this, right? And you would fully enclose, not fully enclose, this would be a little open, right? And that would allow the strawberry picked up this way, not this way, because hard to describe, but yeah. And I gotta balance, what I have to do is I have to balance the size of that inward bend, right, with how wide it has to open, because it has to open wide enough to reach. It can't open so wide that it can't go inside a fry basket, but it has to have enough space here, right, to actually hold an appreciable amount of French fries. So that is a balancing act that I will have to do, because the bigger this is, the wider it has to open to grab the fries. So that is a balancing act that I will have to do. I'm surprised that I was able to grab it. It's probably because the strawberry has a soft skin on the outside, and so I can dig into it a little bit, you know? So if I try the water bottle, nothing happens. If I try the water bottle with these, I might stiffen this end to make it a little bit more, in order to require a little bit more force, because I have a suspicion that part of why these are able to hold things so much better than these is the amount of force it requires to bend them, right? But it's mostly, I think, the amount of force that's required to deform them once they're fully closed, because they're fairly weak, you know. Essentially, I'm applying a force here. The thing I'm grabbing is applying a normal force on the other end, and the pivot point is closer to me than the other thing, so the other thing gets more leverage, you know. So the normal force on this end gets more leverage than the force that I'm applying here. Even though they're the same, it takes me a little more effort. Another thing I can do with these specifically is I can put my finger in here, and that'll keep it from deforming quite so much, because that'll keep it open a little bit, right? And so what that tells me is I can also make this a little bit wider at the back, just like this one is wider at the back. So even though I don't have to change this, I might, because I can afford to change it some, right? Make it a little stiffer maybe, and make it a little bigger this way. Will require more force to bend it. I don't know if making it bigger this way will make it require more force, but making it stiffer certainly will. But yeah, stiffening this and putting a triangle shape on it, along with bending these inward, are what I'm going to change about these tongs. And then after that, I'm going to try and figure out how I can either attach these tongs to a fry scoop attachment, or make these tongs as the fry scoop, right? And and that would be annoying, because then in order to get the fries, I'd have to go vertical because of how print orientations work, I think. Hang on. Yeah. But I can deal with that, because like going vertical isn't the worst thing in the world to do. Something these tongs can do that these tongs can't is stand up on their own. So that's pretty nifty. But yeah, that's about it. So I'll go ahead and make those changes now.